Hey guys, for months now, between reading for work and my prize series, I haven't been able to choose my own books, and now I can. So a few weeks ago, to celebrate the impending end of my required / self-imposed reading, I bought some books I'm bursting with excitement about. There are 10 here, and I've already read 2 of them, so we're off to a good start. And this first one was one of those, the debut memoir Educated by Tara Westover. Had a great experience with this. It's Westover looking back on her childhood in rural Idaho with her devout and eccentric family. Her father doesn't believe in schools or hospitals. So the first time that she sets foot in a classroom is when she's at college at the age of 17, and she goes on to get a PhD from Cambridge. But the bulk of the book is about her evolving relationship with her family. So I'm looking forward to talking about this one in my June wrap-up. Next is Far from the Madding Crowd by Thomas Hardy. I'm making a concerted effort to step up my Victorian game in the second half of this year. I only read 3 Victorian novels last year, which felt weird. Much more weirdly, this will be my first Hardy. We were assigned The Return of the Native in my 10th grade English class, and I remember reading 3 pages and being unable to continue. The writing was so much denser than anything I'd experienced up to that point, and it's funny to look back and realize how much my brain has stretched since then. But anyway, this one is set in a small rural community and features a woman who's embroiled in scandal from relationships with 3 men. That's as much as I want to know going in. Some of you have asked which books I would have liked to have seen on the Women's Prize long list this year, and this next was one of those, How to Be Human by Paula Cocozza. Because of the type of praise it's gotten, I've heard people I really trust say that it's a kind of quiet, surprising achievement, and I'm one of those readers who, for whatever reason, is drawn to foxes on covers. So this is a debut about a woman who starts believing she's having conversations with a fox. I would love for it to have shades of The Portable Veblen. An author I've been curious about for a while is Jenny Erpenbeck, so I picked up Visitation, which is translated from German by Susan Bernofsky. This is a trim, atmospheric novel that follows a house and all of its inhabitants over the course of a century. And I'm pretty sure it's 20th century Germany, which promises to be interesting. I'm not much of a memoir reader, but another that caught my eye is Gone, A Girl, a Violin, A Life Unstrung by Min Kim. Kim was a famous violin prodigy who played on a 1696 Stradivarius, but in 2010 her violin was stolen, and this is her account of that loss and learning to play again after it. Then I have a collection of short stories, Almost Famous Women by Mayhew Bergman. I've read several of her stories in other contexts, but never a full collection of hers, and the premise of this one was what hooked me. The majority, if not all of the stories, focus on the fascinating lives of women who were close to the spotlight, but for one reason or another never became household names. Next up is what's bound to be the strangest of the lot, The Sufferings of Prince Sternenhoch by Ladislav Klíma. This is translated from Czech by Carlton Bolkin. The setup of this novel is that an unnamed group comes into possession of documents pertaining to the mental breakdown of a German prince. And I have to read you some of this opening. We have come into possession of a part of his diary. We do not hesitate to make it public, for the story it tells is one of the most terrible and, at the same time, comic of any we know. We give the events up to August 19th, 1912 only in their main outlines, but we have allowed ourselves considerable license elsewhere as well. Mainly, we have somewhat intellectualized our gallant hero. It was necessary. His Excellency was rather inept with a pen. Since the least offense against empirical reality necessarily leads to many others, we have taken the liberty, but only inasmuch as it concerns the prince's intelligence, to proceed quite laxly and instinctively, meddlesomely and foolishly, arbitrarily and grandiosely. And now we present the reader the following amalgam, without further unnecessary apologies, convinced that, as Goethe says of Werther, neither admiration for the spirit of our hero nor tears for his fate shall be withheld. That's just excellent. Next is a nonfiction book that was shortlisted for the Pulitzer this year, The Evolution of Beauty by Richard O. Prum. Prum is an ornithologist, so naturally he's studied countless bird species over the years, and he noticed that the extravagant physical appearances of many of these species went far beyond the practical ideas we have about Darwin's theory of evolution. So he went back and looked at the theory again and discovered that Darwin himself had included ideas about beauty and about how both animals and humans can choose mates based on this impractical quality. The other one I've already read of these is the novel Almost Love by Louise O'Neill, which I talked about in my May wrap-up, but it's about obsession and losing your sense of self and being cruel to the people who care about you, and I think it's great. And then we're ending up with what I sense could be the most influential of all of these books for me, The Complete Stories of Flannery O'Connor. She died at the age of 39, which is staggering to think about, but published 2 short story collections, 2 novels, and a series of essays. This combines both of her collections and then adds 12 more stories, so it's a bit of a tome. But I've read some of her stories here and there, nothing extensive, and O'Connor is one of those authors who I've thought for a long time could become something of an obsession. The greatest thing about this haul to me is that it's much more indicative of my overall taste than a lot of my content has been this year, so I'm so looking forward to discussing these with you guys over the coming months. Bye, thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.